This is Coach Lee, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can get your ex to chase you. Take a quick second, click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more videos like this one. That includes videos on attraction, breakups, relationship dynamics, marriage, and mindfulness. The reason you want your ex to chase you is because you instinctively realize that the dynamics that exist right now, where you are the one pursuing, you are the one whose interest is known, that's not going to work to reunite your relationship with your ex. And so flipping the tables is what has to happen. And the question is, well, how in the world do you do that? Ideally, a romantic, loving relationship would include two pursuers. It would be mutual pursuit. And people who feel they are above pursuing the other person usually will see a graveyard of failed relationships behind them. Because everyone wants to be pursued, wants to feel like the other person is interested in them, desires them, and is drawn to them. And so when you withhold that from the other person, eventually they will start to feel unloved, unwanted, and undesired. And though at the beginning stages of a relationship, some of that curiosity, where they're not certain how you feel, some of that is attractive because you should be slow and reserved in the beginning of a relationship. But as it develops, your interest, your desire, your love for this other person should not be a mystery to them. It should be something that they can depend on, that they can stand on, that they can feel from you, and that they can know. But when your pursuit of them becomes more than theirs, you must be aware of that and be able to lower yours, to back off some, or else you will overwhelm it. You'll throw it out of balance and you will become less attractive. That's why it's very important to always sort of have your finger to the pulse of the relationship. And so when there is a breakup, if you start chasing someone who is running away, you are only facilitating and furthering the dynamic to the point that they will get so far away from you that you seem mentally unstable to them. They might even call the police. They might try to get some sort of restraining order on you. They might see you as stalking them because it's out of balance. Two people pursuing each other is healthy, is balanced, and is stable. But when the seesaw falls strongly to one side or the other, that's when problems happen, and that's when attraction lowers, and that's when your odds become much less of being able to get this person back. As I talk about in my emergency breakup kit, which I will link to in the description below, it's sort of like if you see a bird outside and you move toward that bird, and the bird skips a little bit, kind of runs in one direction. You move a little further toward the bird and the bird just takes off and flies away. But if you stay back, sometimes it's surprising how the bird just starts coming towards you and coming towards you because there's not that pushback. Now again, you say, my presence shouldn't do that to this person. I agree. If things were as they should be, it would not. That's where you have to be aware of what you are really facing. This person has pulled away. And whenever someone pulls away, going to them is not going to be the thing to do until they are ready. Another example that I give in other videos, and I go into other examples in the emergency breakup kit, is if someone goes into a room and closes and locks the door, and it's clear that they don't want to be bothered, and you go through the window, you go outside and you break through the window, they are not going to be impressed that you found another way, because all you're doing is choosing to reject their wishes. Doesn't matter which way you do it. If you break down the door, break down the window, they're not going to be impressed or think that you're clever for finding an alternate way. All you're doing is you're going around what they want to be the case, and you're not respecting their wishes, which is not attractive. Attractive people do not wish to be where they are not welcome. So realizing that is actually the first step to getting your ex to chase you. Because if you're chasing them, how can they chase you? It's impossible. All they can do is run away from you. And if they do happen to stop, you're just going to plow them over. And they're really going to want to get away from you then. And so the point there, even though I was making a little joke, is that even if your ex was to all of a sudden start thinking, maybe the breakup was a bad idea, and they kind of at least start reflecting on it, if you're pursuing too hard, you will throw them right back into running away mode, where they are running away because you were chasing. It's not going to work. So step 1 is to stop chasing them. Step 2 is to start actually going in the other direction. Now, what I mean by that is that if you start looking out for yourself, because at the moment, you are not invited to pursue them, you're not invited to enrich a relationship with them, you don't have it right now. You don't have that relationship with them right now. But if you start pursuing your interests, your hobbies, friends, family, people who won't break up with you, then you are developing other relationships. And I'm not suggesting that you go on romantic dates, that you pursue romantic relationships right now. If you want your ex back, then at least give it some time to where you are available, to where you're open. And I'm not saying that you put your life on hold. I am simply saying you need time to heal anyway. If you've been in a long-term relationship and you've been broken up with, how's it going to sound if you're on a date 2 weeks later and you tell this person, I just got out of a serious relationship 2 weeks ago? You're not ready. They know that and you know that. And forcing it, because a lot of people, a lot of coaches I know will tell you to go out there and date, to go be romantic with other people. But if you believe that this is temporary or could be, all you're doing is giving it a chance to happen. You're not trying to force it. You're not putting your life on hold. You're actually doing it for you because you need to heal, first of all. Second of all, you are giving this a chance because if you really believe in the relationship, then that's what you should do. And a healthy person doesn't just go from one romantic relationship to the other. They don't just flick the switch of love. Okay, this is a broken relationship. This has ended. I'll just move on. If you can do it that quickly, it wasn't a good relationship to begin with. If you can do it that quickly, you probably have some emotional health issues you need to work through. So take a break for yourself and focus on the relationships you already have, friendships, family, and that with yourself, which includes hobbies, furthering your career, your education, your talents. That is how you actually go in the other direction to incite a chase from your ex. And just like any good chase, there is an element of curiosity, because we say curiosity killed the cat, right? Because the cat sees something that's interesting. It's not behaving in the normal way that it should. And the cat just has to find out what's going on. And as I have said for a very long time, curiosity is a precursor to attraction. Because if you are curious and want to investigate what you see, that opens the door to attraction in a powerful way. It doesn't mean that it's exactly equal to attraction, but it's a precursor to attraction. It comes before attraction. And if you are behaving in a way that your ex doesn't expect, which is out of the dynamic that's been set up, that's where curiosity is the first step on the path. Now, you don't want them to just come back to you because they're curious, and that's not what I'm saying. So all you comment warriors, take note. I'm not just saying that you get your ex back because they're curious. I'm saying that's the first step. Everything in life is a series of steps. Very little of life is achieved all at once. And you need to become comfortable with being able to take steps towards something, to being able to focus in the seconds, to the moments within the seconds as you move toward your goal, and to be comfortable that things don't happen all at once and that you can have small steps of progress and still be getting there. So how can you act outside of the norm? Well, for starters, the dynamic that was set up at the breakup was that your ex is the more attractive one. Even if they told you all these kind things, you're such a wonderful person, you're so handsome, you're so beautiful, anyone would be lucky to have you, and told you all these things to where you're thinking, then why don't you want to stay with me? Your question is correct. If they were really attracted to you enough, it doesn't matter what happens, they would be with you. Unless, of course, there was some law or issue that was totally outside of their control, in which case they would be working to rectify the situation and get to be with you. But if the only thing is, well, it's not me, it's you, I need to work on myself, oh, I've got to go off to college or whatever. If they were attracted to you enough, they would want to find a way in spite of all these things. And I'm telling you that so that you will know that at the moment, it's not as simple as if I can just get around them and talk to them and be myself that worked before, I can get them back. Because something about you and the way that you two interact has changed. Attraction has fallen. And so getting back in touch with yourself by pursuing the relationships that are in your life, like friendships and family, by pursuing your hobbies, your intellectual pursuits, strengthening yourself emotionally, which the no contact rule can help you do, you can actually raise your level of attractiveness. Because right now, if you are around them, you're actually putting your least attractive foot forward because the most recent interactions and the most recent version of you has been what has lowered attraction. And so your ex feels they are above you because they broke up with you. Even if they're a wonderful person and care about people, they still feel more attractive than you. They walk away from the breakup even though they might not feel good about it because they don't want to hurt you. And if they do want to hurt you, then they are sick and you were better off without them. But they don't want to hurt you. They didn't look forward to this moment of breaking up with you. But they still feel like they are more attractive because they're the ones who are saying, no, it ends. You may not have me. And so they walk away feeling more attractive. And the person who is less attractive is in the role of the chaser or the pursuer. And so your ex, whether or not they would put it into words like this or not, has this feeling of eternal attractiveness and that they could always get you back even well into the future if they wanted you back. They feel like that you are permanently theirs and attract them if they wanted you. That they could snap their fingers, they could make a text or a call, and you would just show up and be theirs again. That's one of the reasons that they go through the relief stage early on, because it doesn't feel like a real breakup. They know you don't want the breakup, and so they feel like if they change their mind, they could get you back. They're not in touch with reality yet that says you could move on, they could want you and not be able to have you. Again, they might say it. I have heard so many breakup speeches where people tell me what an ex said. They will even say, I know one day I might regret it because you might move on and it will be my mistake. They're just telling you that to try to make you feel better because in that moment they want the breakup. They believe something else is out there better for them. Now that's what we're going to try to change. We're going to raise your attraction to try to bring them back. We know their mind and their heart is not where it should be right now. We already knew that, or else they wouldn't have broken up with you. I'm just trying to explain what's really going on so you can grasp the nature of what you're up against. And so if you don't behave like the one in the less attractive role, because you're not less attractive, they might perceive it that way, but we know better. Do not behave like the less attractive person. Do not chase. Focus on yourself and on your life. Do not contact them. Give them the breakup, because that's how you actually end up flipping the tables, because they will sit there and think, wait, this doesn't make sense. Now, it may take a week or 2 or 3 or longer for them to get to that point where they reflect and sort of look back. It's sort of like when you're running away from someone. At some point, you look back to see where they are. And when you realize they're not chasing, what do? You stop running. Step 1 for them. Stop running. They look back. You're not chasing, which means they are no longer moving in the opposite direction. So you're stopping the bleeding. Then they start to wonder why you are not chasing. And it occurs to them, what if I'm not the more attractive one right now? Because if I were the more attractive one, them being lower, they would be chasing. I would be beautiful bait. I would be the prize. They would not be able to help themselves. It all comes slowly crashing down, and they begin to view you more attractively because you are behaving like an attractive person. And what did, by their own admission, they think? The more attractive one is chased. And so even if, at the moment, they're still operating under the dynamics of the breakup, meaning that they were more attractive, they were the ones who chose to end the relationship, this is where you will at least get another chance. They will reflect, they will reconsider, they will toy with the idea that the breakup was a mistake. It doesn't mean that it always works, I wish that it did, but it does not mean that it always works. But this is where your best chance exists, in that if you behave like the more attractive one, it's curious to them at first, but then as they start to look at this differently, they start to see you as closer to the attraction level you were when you two were together, when they were pursuing you, when the relationship was new. And that's when they can go into that stage that I talk about in my video, stages your ex goes through during no contact. They can get into that stage where they are concerned because they realize, I'm beginning to think this was a mistake. I see them as more attractive than I did. What if they move on and I can't get them back? What if they find someone else? And that further raises your level of attractiveness. And so maybe you notice the theme, and I talk about this in my emergency breakup kit a lot. The more attractive you can become, the better your odds. And I'm not saying that we all have to be supermodels all the time. I'm actually primarily talking about emotional attraction. That's usually the form of attraction that falls, because physical attraction, you meet that before emotional attraction occurs in most situations. You pass the eye test. That's the foot in the door. You two are attracted to each other physically. Now you can begin to see if there's emotional attraction there. And the physical test sort of happens quickly. And so that's why some people say, well, I'm not really attracted to the physical. They are. They have some level of acceptability of what's physically attractive enough or not. And it could happen very quickly in just seconds. And then that's where they start feeling that emotional attraction. And so it happens so quickly that it's even deceptive to them. And they start thinking, well, physical's not that important to me. It's all about emotional attraction. That's because the physical was out of the way. It's the foot in the door. Emotional attraction is actually far more complex. That's why it's more subject to being something that can fade, something that can fall slightly. And that's what we need to get back. So there's two things happening. Your attraction's going up while theirs is also going down. And so that gap between the two of you on the totem pole of attraction is actually widening. Why is their attraction beginning to fall a little bit? Because you're not chasing. And if they were an attractive person, they would be being chased. That's what they think. And so you want them to chase you. First, stop chasing them. Second, chase yourself. Your friends, your family, people who have been there and have not broken up with you. Third is going to be that you are not afraid to allow enough time to pass because you understand how this works. And you know that time is part of the equation. I have a video called No Contact and the Power of Time where I go into this in detail. But time is what works on them. It's one thing for them to feel one day that maybe it was a mistake, but day after day thinking the breakup might have been a mistake, it begins to reinforce itself. It begins to go out of that element of being maybe it might be a mistake, maybe it was a mistake, to I think it was. It was a mistake. And it's working with your attraction going up and theirs going down. And them continuing to see day after day, you were still not chasing. And so they start walking the path back to where they were slowly. You're not around this corner or that corner. It begins to be a little bit concerning because now that they're more attracted to you, the idea that you could be the one who gets away becomes terrifying in some situations. That's where they begin to pursue you and you get that text or you get the call. And it starts out slowly, maybe just seeing how you're doing, but it evolves and develops into something much more in many cases. If this video was helpful to you, you can show the love by leaving me a tip in my tip jar, which I will link to in the description below. I'll also link to the emergency breakup kit in addition to my tip jar. And you can also show the love by liking this video and subscribing to my channel if you want more videos like this. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.